So I've been actively scripting a video for the last 20-30 minutes, and I'm not going to spoil what the video is, but it's brought me to a point of Pathfinder 2e that I rarely come across asking, how does this work? I've been playing this game for about 5 years now, and it is so rare that I ever have to look at a rule and think, what does this do? How does this interact? How does this work when a player character makes this choice? And I think I might have stumbled across the single most misunderstood mechanic in all of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Something that, to this day, after 15 minutes of research online on the Pathfinder subreddit, on Paizo blogs, everywhere I can find, on Archives of Nethys, in the books, I can't find a solid answer, and to my knowledge, Paizo has never come out and made a solid answer, which they don't tend to do that. Paizo doesn't tend to come out and say, this is how a rule works, full stop, period, because that can have unfortunate circumstances down the line. It's the kind of thing where a random designer can't just say, this is how it works, because that might not actually be how it works, so they'd have to go through all the proper channels of talking to all the different designers and make sure. So it's understandable why Paizo hasn't come out and made a full statement about this, but this weird mechanic, it's existed for a long time now. It's existed, I believe, for as long as Pathfinder 2e has existed, and it's wild to me that there's no ruling on how it works. And now that I've got your attention here for about a minute, and you're fully invested in the video, I can talk about poisons. Poisons are a really interesting part of Pathfinder 2e that a lot of people don't get to use. It's primarily saved for alchemists, and even then, only toxicologist alchemists can really make the most out of poisons. Now, injury poisons are still super cool. Rogues get some feats to poison their weapons. Alchemists can make injury poisons to apply to their allies' weapons as well as their own. There's other kinds of poisons as well. There's ingested poisons where when you eat them, you make a saving throw. Injury poisons are your classic, like you got hit by the enemy or the poisoned weapon, you make the saving throw and start suffering from them. In case you don't know how poisons work, they're super simple. If you succumb to a poison, you make a saving throw. If you fail, you become stage 1 of that poison after what's called the onset period. If the onset period is 1 round, you suffer stage 1 round later, and then however much the period is for each stage is when you make your subsequent saving throw. If you fail again, you go to stage 2. You crit fail, you go down 2 stages. And this is always really easy. You know, if you get hit by an injury poison laden weapon, you make your saving throw. You fail, oh no, you're poisoned. You succeed, cool, you're fine. All poisons are really easy to understand. Except for one type of poison that, to this day, nobody can agree on how it works, because there's only 2 real worlds on how to use this poison. I'm of course talking about inhaled poisons. Let me read you the definition of the inhaled trait. An inhaled poison is activated by unleashing it from its container. Once unleashed, the poison creates a cloud filling a 10-foot cube lasting for 1 minute or until a strong wind dissipates the cloud. Every creature entering this cloud is exposed to the poison and must attempt a saving throw against it. A creature aware of the poison before entering the cloud can use a single action to hold its breath and gain a +2 circumstance bonus to the saving throw for 1 round. Simple enough, right? There's a cloud. If you're in it, you make a saving throw. If you're moving into it, you can hold your breath and then gain a bonus. So what's the confusing part? Well, let's look at one. Let's look at Tatzelworm's Gasp from Howl of the Wild. Level 2 item, alchemical, consumable, inhaled poison. Simple. Usage, held in 2 hands, it takes 2 actions with the manipulate trait to activate it. Brave alchemists take great care to capture a Tatzelworm's poisonous vapor in small vials, typically through a system of compressors that can concentrate their exhalations. Saving throw DC 15 fortitude, maximum duration 3 rounds, stage 1 sickened, stage 2 2d6 poison damage and enfeebled 1, stage 3 4d6 poison damage and enfeebled 1. Okay, so if you walk into a cloud of Tatzelworm's Gasp, you make the saving throw, and if you fail, you're sickened. So how does this work as an activatable alchemical item? You have a vial of poisonous gas that it says, according to the trait, when activated, fills a 10-foot cube lasting for 1 minute. Where does the cube start? If you open it, do you pick like a corner of your square and then it fills your square and then 3 other squares to make a cube? Does it fill everything but your square, where you open it, pick a square next to you, and then draw a 2x2 cube that doesn't encompass your own square, this is a really important distinction that is not mentioned anywhere in Pathfinder 2e. The implication that, oh, if you know the cloud is coming, you can hold your breath, implies that maybe the cloud does spawn on your character. You take a deep breath in, open it, and then there's a 2x2 cube where you are inside of it. But then that's awful. That's horrible. As you get better poisons, you yourself have to then contend with the stronger poisons, and that's a horrible feeling. That would make inhaled poisons borderline worthless for the benefit versus the harm they can do to the enemies. However, there's the alternate, where you pop it open and like point the vial away from you and it fills a cube next to you, an adjacent cube starting in melee reach. That, from my research, seems to be the general idea people are going for, is within reach. That's all they would need to add to this, is the poison creates a cloud-filling 10-foot cube within your reach. What that means is that if you're a large creature with 10 feet of reach, or you got enlarged, then it makes sense that you could reach over 10 feet and uncork the bottle and fill a 10-foot cube, 10 feet of reach away from you. But that's not written anywhere. Everything about this seems to be entirely players trying to make sense of it, which is so rare in Pathfinder 2e, and that's why I'm even making this video in the first place. In 5 years of playing this game, I've pretty much never come across something like this where there's no definitive answer anywhere in any of the books, and that's wild to me. There's also the whole thing of, can you throw an inhaled poison? Can you take the bottle, like shake it up, and then aim at a spot on the ground, throw it and have it shatter, and fill a 10-foot cube within your thrown bomb reach? A 20-foot reach, 10-foot cube would be incredible utility, but it doesn't say it, especially because if you look at like Tatzelworm's Gasp again, it's 2-action manipulate, not a strike or anything like that. It doesn't say it has a range. There is no range, and Pathfinder has stated pretty clearly, if something has no range, it's reach. Whatever you can reach. So I have no idea how inhaled poisons actually work, but I am starting to lean toward the idea that it is within reach, that you don't have to encompass yourself in the cloud. And my quote-unquote evidence for that is the Pinpoint Poisoner Alchemist feat, which I don't think existed before the remaster. Okay, no, it did. So this has existed since the Advanced Player's Guide in 2021. But the way it's worded, when you successfully strike an off-guard creature with a poisoned weapon, that's not important. What's important, if you expose an off-guard creature to an inhaled poison, that creature takes a -2 circumstance penalty to its initial save against that poison. That makes me think there's a world where you can flank a target or have somebody grappling a target and then open the inhaled poison to encompass the off-guard creature. It would be really bad if there was a full feat around this that still involved you opening the cloud on yourself. That just feels pointless and counterintuitive. Am I crazy about this? Do you agree with that? Do you agree with the melee reach cloud creation? Because I think that's fantastic. It's risk versus reward. It's a manipulate action, so if creatures have reactive strikes, when you open the poison, they're going to get a reactive strike on you, and I think that's a great risk to weigh against creating a massive zone control debilitating field that can apply conditions, that can deal damage. The worst part is, there's not even that many inhaled poisons, and most of them are uncommon. The only common ones are like Tatzelworm's Gasp, Mustard Powder, which hasn't even been remastered, Nightmare Vapor, Primal Pollen, but even that's from like an adventure. A lot of, in like base game, only in like Player Core 1, Player Core 2, and a couple of external options, there's like 6 usable inhaled poisons, and half of them are like level 12 or higher. So the worst part of all of this confusion is that it barely even matters. But I want to hear from you. How do you think inhaled poisons work? When you open them, are you in the cloud? When you open them, do they expand to cover a 10-foot cube that does not include you? Can you throw them within your bomb's thrown reach to create a cube far away? It does not say anywhere which one is right and which one is wrong. If you've been running it one of these ways at your table, let me know. I want to hear. Anyway, time to get back to work on scripting my video, which is definitely not about the Alchemist.